Hello and welcome to the Park Life Podcast. My name is Mike. I'm a travel agent that specializes in all things Disney. Today is episode 49 of the Park Life Podcast, and today I'm going to do a personal review on scooter rental. My family was recently at Disney about a month ago, and we rented a scooter for my mom to help her get around the parks. Now, she's very capable of walking, but her concern was that she would wear out quickly with the steps that it takes to get through the parks and did not want to slow down the rest of the family. So she wanted to get a scooter. The last time we were there with my parents, which was about 5 years ago, she again was perfectly fine and mobile. She got a very, very bad blister on one of her feet from our first day of walking in the parks and was in so much pain from walking that we ended up renting a scooter for her inside the park the next day. That experience was fine. Renting a scooter from inside the park is absolutely an option for you. And I have nothing negative to say about it. There are a couple of things that I would caution you about. One is that there's not an unlimited number of scooters. It's first come, first serve. You cannot reserve the scooters inside the parks. So you need to make sure you get there early enough in the morning to still have the opportunity of getting a scooter. The second thing that I would say is that that scooter stays inside the park. So, despite the fact that my mom was struggling to walk because of the blister a few years back when we were there, when we left the Magic Kingdom, for instance, she had to walk back to the bus and then walk in our resort. She honestly really wasn't excited about going to Disney this time until I told her that we would be able to rent a scooter from a third party company outside of Walt Disney World, and that scooter would be hers for the entire trip, not just inside the parks, but at our resorts, going from resort to transportation, getting off that transportation and getting inside the park in all of our park days. And that put a lot of relief on her. She was really stressed out about going and was considering not going at all until I talked to her about the fact that we could get her a scooter. There are a number of external companies that rent scooters, and I'm quite certain that most all of them are very reputable. And some of you have probably rented from some of them and have had very good experiences. My review today is solely on the company that we did rent with, and I'll tell you why we chose that company over the others. We went with a company called Scooterbug. You can find them at www.scooterbug.com. I will tell you right up straight and forward and open with you and honest, I don't get commission for pitching them. This is not about me advertising for them. This is solely telling you about our experience that it might help you in making your decision of renting if you've never rented before but need to on your next trip. So www.scooterbug.com. They have a number of different scooters available to pick from. Most of the change in scooter style or type has to do with weight capacity. It might change the life of the battery before it needs to be charged, but those are things you can look at. Now, I will tell you this. I compared Scooterbug's prices to another reputable company that is very popular down there, and renting for a single day or for 2 days or 3 days or up through 7 days, the price between the two companies was very comparable. It's possible that a 1 day rental at Scooterbug was a little less expensive than the other company, but maybe a 2 day rental at the other company was a little less expensive than Scooterbug. A 3 day might have been the same. A 4 day might have been less expensive with Scooterbug. So the decision to rent had nothing to do with price because the price was about the same for each of the two companies that I did my research on. Both companies' models that they had available were comparable to one another, so it had nothing to do with that. And both companies had optional features that you could either include in the rent or purchase. For instance, a rain cover, which, if you've never been to Disney World before, it rains very frequently, especially during the rainy season of May through October, specifically in that August through October timeframe with hurricane season. You'll get afternoon showers that pop up. So buying a rental or buying a rain cover that fit the scooter was something that we opted to do. Some of them will come with awnings that you can put over top of the person to help with shade. Some might have added features where you can add cup holders, different things like that, maybe an extra basket on the back. All of those were price comparable between the companies. The sole reason that I chose Scooterbug over the others was simply this. Scooterbug is the recognized third party rental of Disney World, but that wasn't the reason. The reason was solely this: Scooterbug is the only company that Disney allows them to drop off your rental at your Disney resort without you being there to receive it. So on the day that we traveled to Disney World and we flew down, um, the scooter was already at the resort by the time we got there. When we got off the bus at our resort at All Star Sports, the rest of the family waited for the luggage to get pulled out from underneath the bus. My mom and I walked over to the bell service stand and told them we had a scooter waiting for us from Scooterbug. I already had an email from Scooterbug telling me that they delivered it. I got an email the day before telling me that they were excited for us to be there and look forward to us utilizing their services. The bell service person went in the back, and within about 2 or 3 minutes, they came out with the scooter for my mom at about the same time that the luggage came out from underneath the bus for the family. So we were all able to go into the resort together and get checked in. On the day we left to come home, we did not have to hand the scooter over to Scooterbug. They did not have to have a representative there. We took the scooter back to Bell Services to the stand, and they had us sign that we were handing it over to them, and they took it in the back, and then Scooterbug makes arrangements to come and pick it up later in the day. So for me, it was simply the convenience. If I had to rent somewhere else, they would deliver it to the resorts, but I would have to be there for them to hand it over to me. And the problem I had there was simply on our travel day going down, if our flight was delayed and we'd already arranged a time for another company to bring the scooter and we weren't there yet because our flight was delayed, I'd have to make new arrangements with them. Likewise, on the day we came home, if our flight changed and we would want the scooter a little longer, they would have been coming to pick it up. Or if our flight was canceled and we had to reschedule and got an earlier flight, I would have been stuck. So for me, it was the convenience of Scooterbug saying, we'll drop it off. You drop it off. We don't have to be there. You don't have to be there for either transaction. And it's an arrangement that they have with Disney World, and it worked perfectly. Now, I will be the first to tell you, I've seen on social media people who've rented with other companies say that they got the same thing as far as when they dropped their scooter off, that they were able to just drop it off and then rental company A, B, or C came and picked it up. That is not the official policy of Disney. It's not the official offering of the other rental companies. I've had a couple of my clients that rented with Scooterbug, and they had great experiences as well. One that is going in a couple of weeks, and they're not staying at a Disney World property. Scooterbug will drop off within a certain radius in Orlando at other properties without you being there. So again, very convenient for that standpoint. Um, the scooter itself was easy to manage. My mom was worried about that. It was very easy to drive. She was able to control it very well, going forward, going backwards. It had decent power. She wasn't going to run anybody over, but the family wasn't having to slow down waiting for her to keep up with us. So that worked out very well. The last thing that I would bring up is the battery itself. And again, if you look through social media, you can probably find countless posts from people that complain that their scooter, whether it was from Scooterbug or rental company A, B, or C, that the battery died frequently. And I think those are anomalies. It's like anything else in life. You can have bad reviews of certain things, and you have a number of great reviews. At the end of our first day at Magic Kingdom, we were there all day, rope drop, stayed for happily ever after that night. So we were there for 13, 14 hours, somewhere in that neighborhood. Did not charge the battery during the day whatsoever. Um, Obviously, my mom, when we were in line for rides, she parked the scooter and got up and walked with us and get lines. Um, her mobility was fine to do that, and so the scooter was not going in and out through the queues on the rides, but it was parked. By the time we got back to our resort that night at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, she said that the battery was still over three-fourths of the way charged. She felt she could probably go and not even charge it overnight, and it would have been fine the next day at Hollywood Studios. Now, she did charge it, and now it was just my mom and dad in their room at All Star Sports. And if you're not familiar with the All Stars Resorts, and Pop Century's the same, Art of Animation's the same, they have a queen bed that's out sitting there. It's always a bed. The second bed is a Murphy bed. It's folded up into the wall. My parents did not drop that bed. They didn't need to, so she had enough space to back her scooter right into the room every night and left it there and charged it. Easy peasy for her. Other people that might have that bed down because they've got four people staying in their room, I've seen it all the time. They will leave their scooter sitting right outside their room on the balcony or the walkway. They take the battery out, bring it into the room, and charge it overnight. Works great for them as well. The battery life for my mom's scooter was wonderful. The power was great. It was hot every day. It was in the low to mid 90s and humid. We were there from rope drop to park close on the first 3 days at Magic, at Hollywood, and at Epcot. The fourth day was at Animal Kingdom, a shorter day because the park closes earlier. We did Disney Springs the day we arrived, and she rode the scooter to Disney Springs. It operated great. It got wet in the rain, drove it through the heat and the humidity, had no problems whatsoever, and the battery was a champion. My mom is not one to advertise for anything in particular. She's not one to give reviews on things or anything like that. One of our park days, she encountered an older gentleman who was walking, but walking pretty slowly, and they struck up a conversation. And he said, gosh, I wish I could have my own scooter, but I just can't afford it. And she said, well, we actually rented this, which allows me to have it in and outside the parks for the entire time of the trip. And they engaged in a conversation, and she became kind of a salesperson for Scooterbug in that dialogue with that gentleman. I thought it was pretty interesting. But that told me just how much she appreciated the scooter, how well it worked out for her, and loved the fact that she could have it from the point in time she arrived at our resort to the point in time we left our resort to head back to the airport. So, if you are in need of a scooter in a future trip, I would tell you do your research, do your due diligence. Again, I'm not promoting one rental company over another. This is solely our experience with Scooterbug, which was wonderful, and we'll utilize them again in the future if we have the need to rent a scooter. But do your due diligence, do your research, do your price comparisons. Um, if you're staying off property and whether it's Scooterbug or it's rental company A, B, or C, you want to make sure that they deliver to that property. If it is Scooterbug, you want to make sure that Scooterbug can drop it off and that you don't have to be there for it. So you gain that extra convenience in the rental process. You can always rent inside the parks, like I said early on. Just know that the scooters are limited and you must leave it inside the park, and it does cost a little bit more. So keep that in mind. If it's a 1 day only type of thing and you just need it for the convenience inside the park, probably best just to rent in the park and pay a little bit more. But if you're going to be there for 3 days or 5 days or 7 days, you will pay far less by renting it with an outside company, and you'll gain the benefit of having that scooter from the exit of the park to your resort. And let's face it, there's a lot of walking that happens on the Disney resort properties as well. So if you are mobility challenged and need that scooter, having it at your resort is a big deal. We will absolutely rent from Scooterbug again in the future. When I work with my clients and they bring up the need for a scooter, I will talk to them about the different options. I'll talk to them about rental company A, B, and C, and I'll tell them about my experience with Scooterbug. And I will support whatever decision they make. But if they want to rent and they want the convenience of not having to be there when it gets dropped at the resort and not having to hand it back to that company when it's time to leave the resort, I will encourage them to consider Scooterbug every time. So, from a personal standpoint, not a travel agent professional standpoint, but solely from a personal family usage standpoint, I absolutely recommend Scooterbug. And like I said, we will rent from them again in the future when the need arises to have a scooter. That is it for episode 49. If you would like to work with me in a future trip, I would be ecstatic to work with you and your family. You can reach out to me through TikTok, through Instagram, through YouTube at Mike_Disney Travel. You can message me on the Park Life Podcast YouTube channel. You can comment on this YouTube podcast, or you can also find me on Facebook at Mike's Magical World Vacations. I got my titles mixed up. Mike's Magical World Vacations on Facebook. You can message me there as well. I drop these podcasts every Monday morning on Spotify and on the YouTube podcast channel at approximately 5 a.m. Eastern Time. We also do a Park Life Live every Tuesday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on the Park Life podcast channel on YouTube. I would love to have you join us there. I answer questions that folks have. We discuss late breaking news from Disney. We talk about promotions, and then we have a little fun at the end. Usually do a Q&A where I ask questions of the group, or we do a fun scavenger hunt or things like that. Hope this information is helpful for you. I appreciate you joining today. Drop a comment if you've rented with Scooterbug. What was your experience like? Good or bad? I like to hear both. If you've rented with another company and want to share your experience there, I'd love to hear that as well. At the end of the day, I want the next person and the next person to have a great experience at Disney, inside and outside of the parks. That's it for today. Hopefully, you enjoyed this information. Catch me again next week. I'm not sure what I'll talk about next week yet, but I'll figure it out. And I would love to hear from you and see you on a future podcast. That's it, everybody. Hope you have a great day today, an even better day tomorrow. And when you wake up tomorrow, remember it's a great day to be alive. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.